when I brought up assimilation on Piers, Cenk Uygur starts talking about, I think, Orthodox Jews wearing hats and like, would we condemn them for their clothing? And I was like, Cenk, none of this is about food and fashion. It's like, oh, assimilation, like it's just a mask for racism. I'm like, no, it's about chance of death to America.
Yeah.
If
you want to wear a yarmulke, cool by me. You want to wear a turban, also cool by me. Like, none of these things bother me. But when you force me to wear a turban, then we got a problem.
Right. I want to go back to our last interview together when you encouraged me to read the Quran. And I said, well, it's peaceful. It's the most peaceful religion. And you said, have you read it? And you said, I've read it. You should. So I started reading it. And I want to point out a few things. I'm not religious. I don't have a dog in this fight. I'm agnostic. I have no idea. But I start looking at this, and it's actually very confusing. So there's two basic timelines here. One is the Meccan period, right, which is the early years where Muhammad is unbelievably peaceful. So, for example, I pulled this one quote here, Surah 109:6. For you is your religion, and for me is my religion. I'm like, well, that's beautiful. I live like that. Muhammad's a liberal. Sorry,
great.
Carl. Like, example, Surah 2:256. There is no compulsion in religion. But then as it progresses, it starts to change dramatically. Then you get into the sword verses. And you've got kill the polytheists wherever you find them, capture them and besiege them. And then Surah 9:29, fight those who don't believe in Allah until they pay the jizya, the tax, and willing submission and feel themselves subdued. So here's the thing. There is a duality here, and I don't really understand how to reconcile it. And I want to show you one more clip before you answer.
One of the largest concentrations of Jewish population in all of Australia, and many of them, hundreds if not thousands of them, were out celebrating when this father and son, the father who moved to Australia back in 1988, his son was born here. His son's been studying the Quran and Arabic for the past year. His teacher says they showed up with a stockpile of rifles. It turns out the father was a licensed gun owner here in a nation that has incredibly strict gun laws for the past 30 years, ever since the last mass shooting basically caused the country to collect most people's guns. But certain people have a license if they're members of gun clubs. Apparently, this father was a licensed member of a gun club.
So I'll get to the guns in a minute. What struck me is you got a family that moved there in 88. That's a heck of a long time to become an Australian. The son was born there. But then they're like, he starts reading the Quran and learning Arabic this past year, and now he's radicalized.
Right. It's okay. Amazing. You also have, keep in mind that of the mosques and a lot of the study programs and things like that within the Islamic community, of the Muslims in Australia, 2/3 of Australian Muslims were not born there. They immigrated there. And a lot of people like that guy who's spent his whole life in Australia, he's assimilated to a culture of people that was run by people who were not born there, who came there and brought the customs from other nations, and they taught that in a lot of these mosques. It's a staggering thing. And I believe it was the mayor, it might have been a member of parliament there, who said, like, diversity is still our greatest strength. It's like, no. It's not, and it just proved it. But like, what does it take? Does something physically have to happen to that person in order for them to understand that this is the way it is, and it will continue to happen until you stop it, or are they just never going to get it?
All right, guys, if you like this clip and you want to watch the full episode, click here. And if you want more content like this, you can subscribe to the show by clicking